Hello, chat. Hold on, let me... Axiom... It's fine. I'm just setting up my keybinds right now real quick. Okay. Actually, let me... And then... Where is... Perspective? There we go. Yeah, we're learning Axiom today, chat. Because I need to use it for some build stuff, and I haven't really got a full practice of it. So today we're going to be messing around with it and figuring stuff out. And also, this is going to be a fun little tutorial for y'all as well, because we're learning it basically together as we go through this. So, first things first, if you've never used Axiom, you will see in the bottom of the screen, we have a extra little, what's it called? Hotbar selection, right? Also, Afterlore, thank you for continuing your Prime/gifted sub to a tier 1. I appreciate that. As well, thank you for all the follows and stream search chat that you guys have done. But yeah, so basically, this little thing right here is a special little tool that you have while you're in the world. You can get it either by scrolling or by pressing 0. And it's basically your 10th slot for your hotbar, right? Now, if I press 0 different times, it can change depending what I need, or if I press left option, I can then also select it from here, where like I can keep existing, copy on, copy air, and it basically alters what we're wanting, right? So this is very similar to the idea of a copy and a select tool, almost in a way, for what's the word? For like world edit, right? So you make your first point, you make your second point, and now I have this item, this selection. I can then move the selection any direction that I am looking towards. And if I then confirm it, it is now there. I can also do Control Z, or is it Shift? No, sorry, Control Z. Yeah, Control Z. Control C lets me copy the block. Apparently, I did not know that. A block that I'm looking at. Yeah, but basically, right. So, if I ever need looks like Lightmatica, but easier parts, a little bit, yeah. So if I make one point here to like all the way over there, it will do the entire box for me. And then I can sort of look up, and it will go up, and then we have this here. I can also press cancel. I can then also move it by just pressing middle mouse button, and it will offset it to those chords. And then if I want to cancel, I press left click, right? So that's the move tool. We then have the clone tool, which again, it's the very same thing, but this tool leaves what you moved there. So it basically replicates what you are wanting, right? Like, we now have this right here, see? Really useful, really cool. The reason why I'm telling you all this is because in case I'm trying to figure something out, y'all can help me. Stack tool, make a point, scroll, and this is what I was talking about of like stacking stuff, is you can basically have a massive grid that you need for stuff, right? And then you can confirm that, and then it will fill it. That entire thing is now fully rock solid. And that is just a huge flat spacing now. And then again, press Control Z, and it will fix itself. Just like so. I think it also might have been semi-hollow because the bats spawned in, or it's just because they were underneath it. But yeah, so like you have that. You have the smear tool, which sort of does the same thing. It kind of... It adjusts the points to where, like, depending on what direction you're wanting, it will take that selection, and you kind of can make bridges and pathways and different stuff with it because it works in angles. It takes the blocks that you have and it works in that way. So that's that one. And then extrude, basically, I have raised the entire area by 1. So what this does, right, is you can take, let's say, for example, this little 3x3, right? Extruding takes every block that is similar that is touching and lets you expand on it. So you can go up with it, you can go over, and then if you want to shrink it, you can then shrink it down. See? It needs to update light entities. There we go. Okay, what are we doing? We're learning Axiom. Make it trippy. It's because I'm pressing extrude. The same thing with shrink. And then you have the erase, which again is just an erase box. You can select one point, select another, and then delete. And that will click to press the delete button. Or do I even have... Yeah, it will delete. And if you want to do connections, you can do anything that's touching those blocks, aka all grass blocks in that area, all dirt blocks in that section will get deleted. Right? Oh. So that is all. Oh, there's also the symmetry tool, which is the weirdest one. Basically, you have these points, right? And so what this does, and it's the weirdest tool, is you have these points here. Right? What these points do is you can depending on the directions in that you're wanting. I've now enabled the X and Y axis of these. So, and now instantly, depending on the location that you are building, builds everything super symmetrical. Right? Like that's what that does. And it also does everything in the ground, because I did everything from top to bottom, and so I was placing things in the other direction as well. I don't know exactly how it works, I just know the basics of it. I don't know how to, like, raise it into the sky, but you can make a perfect sphere out of that. right? Like you can do a bunch of different stuff with that. But that is that tool. That is your entirety, and then if you want to clear, just press delete, and it will place it. So we now, that's basically all of this. These are tools that you can use while you're building, like digital art, yeah. And then we have more stuff. So now I open left options or left alt, and we have all of this here, right? So what this does is you can basically automatically go into survival. You can go into adventure right away if you want to test some stuff, but as soon as you press left options, it automatically puts you back in creative mode. So if you're making a mini map or /time set day /game rule and do generate cycle false. Right, so basically, if you were wanting to test something in adventure mode, like a mini map, you could then like play through it, and then something happens, you press left options, and it puts you back in creative, back into like everything you need. What's also with this is this is your inventory slot. So like, say I want a slot here, right? I can then go to a different slot, and then if I need different blocks for different texturing purposes, right, I can continuously go back and forth between different slots, and it's infinite. There's an infinite amount of slots. So if you wanted gradients for mega builds or huge projects that you're using different blocks, you can set them all up here. So this just lets you do that. That's what this inventory is for. So really, really helpful there. We then have angel placement, which angel placement is basically can let you place a block in the air. So instantly in the air, and then you can build off of that. But if you need to like start building a structure in the sky, you don't have to tower up to it. You can just do that and then like reset while you are flying, while you're making builds that are in the air, instead of like trying to like set a platform up. So that's what angel blocks are for. You have, hold on, what is this one? You have no clip, so you can basically, if I was going to spectator, no clip, right? But as in adventure, in creative, you can also no clip. So like if you were making a build and you needed to go to other, this is on Java, yes, this is on Java only. You can just fly through blocks in creative mode instead of needing to go back into spectator mode. With this mod, they probably do use some of it. Then you have Phantom, which basically Phantom physically triggering blocks, pressure plates, whatnot. You also have this right here, which is your flight speed. So you can, it's the same flight speed design as spectator. So you can go up to a max flight speed of 99, which means you can now zoom around at the highest flight speed that you were as if you were in spectator. So if you were zooming through a massive map or a big build, you can then adjust that, and then it goes back to 100. So that's what that does. Let's see, what's this one? Fast place. Places blocks very fast in a controlled manner. You then have infinite reach, which is really cool. Basically, in Minecraft, right, if you wanted to get a texture, right, like say I wanted to get this grass block for a build, or stone, right, and I needed that stone block there, but I was super far away and I was working on something else and I needed to see like a bigger picture, right? It has infinite reach, so I can now click that block and I can place that block anywhere. As long as there is a distance for it, there is no stopping. I can put that stone block all the way out there. So that's helpful, because if you're doing big builds, you can then like be like, okay, I need to actually place a block there and a block there and fix all that, right? Super useful. You have Tinker, which is use various interactions with right-clicking with your fist, which is really nice because, for example, before you would have to use the debug stick, right? to like change the interactions between blocks. But this, if I right click on it, lets me interact with what I'm needing for a build. And it's based on that placement, right? So like I could then take walls and fences, and without using an actual what's the word? Without using the debug stick, I can now go into this like they're connected or half connected, and you can do fun little details like this now. Alright, so that is that. You then have no updates, aka prevent trigger neighbor and updates, right? So like if I wanted to get some flowers, right? Like let's say roses, right? I can make it a half. I could also make it floating. I could technically take two different flower types, and I could stack one on top of the other and have a whole different type of plant. Because I am placing blocks that are not being updated, aka I could have floating sand. And it won't update no matter what I do with it. It will not update because the block has been placed with this on to prevent it from updating. We then have force place, basically bypassing block placement restrictions, and you also then have replace mode where you can right-click blocks to replace them with held blocks, right? So say we have say we're doing a texture thing, right? And I'm like, okay, this is cool, but I actually want this wall to be made out of stripped birch. Instead of being just breaking everything, you can replace it, and it's just like Lightmatica, in the sense where you just instantly right-click, and you can just hold right-click, and it will replace all those blocks. See? So, that's cool. Now, it doesn't have a left-click feature, or like a Control-Z feature, because you're actually placing them, but you have now the ability of a replace tool. Then you have bulldoze, basically hold left-click to break blocks very quickly. So if I just hold left-click, it's like I have efficiency 5 on a netherite pickaxe going through netherrack. I can just hold left-click and it would instantly break everything. Really useful. Really, really cool. So, that's all that stuff. We saw this stuff, and now we get the main thing that Axiom has. And you're like, wow, that wasn't all of it, right? That wasn't everything with Axiom? No, because if you do right shift, you go into a whole different program software. And this is what I need to practice and learn. Yeah, if you pressed right shift on your keyboard, this is actually Axiom. This is the building side of Axiom. So it gives you a history. So if you've ever used Flashback, Mulberry, same person. Why is there text? Because this is a whole separate program inside of Axiom that lets you actually build. So we're gonna go step by step with all this because we need to. Because I want to practice stuff, and basically I am learning this with y'all at the same time because I've watched a few videos explaining it, but now to help me learn and remember it, we're gonna go through each program each little palette stuff. And how all this works, just on this screen, just to get a basic idea so then I can remember it myself. So that's why we're doing this today, is for you guys to also learn, but then also for myself to learn. So this is the tool window. Here you can select tools, painting, terraforming, making selections, and more. You have your tool brush here, like your tool options for your brushes, and you can find settings to select them there. You have some tools requiring a block paint or to place. Here you can switch between those blocks. This is your view window. You can press the left button to rotate the camera and right button to use the tool. You can then do control left to have an aerial based camera, like an arc ball. So basically the point where you select, you basically are on that selection tool. It's almost like if you've ever played the Tycoon games, like the Zoo Tycoon or those park-based themed games, it's sort of like that in the style of what it is. And scrolling to move away and towards a point. So quite useful. We have Axiom keeps track of block changes, so you can undo and redo. This window shows the characters, right? So like that, and you have this clipboard. If you have a selection, you can copy a block to use Control-C. Afterwards, you can Control-V to initiate a paste. Cool. All right, so yeah, so you see how I deleted that tool? I can then, let's see, redo to this point, and it'll redo it. And then if I want to Control-Z again, undo to this point. So, like if I want to make a little mountain, I can go here. Gives me every block palette, and then I can change the tool to how big the radius I want, or how small the radius I want on this side. Basically, this is your brush scale, so you can make... So, like, if you've ever used a, like, Photoshop or anything that uses pixels, right? This is the radius, treat it as the size of your brush, so you can do small to large. Right? Like, that's... You can go by that. I also just somehow changed it all to that, so let me Control-Z that. Alternate Photoshop, yeah. So that's basically what it is. You also have a noise radius, so this changes the pattern of what you are placing. The noisiness, the smoothness, to replace solid blocks, extend to ground. So like if you were doing it on a cliffside, becomes a Death Star. Yeah. But you can also do anything. You can do cubes. You can do eclipses. You can do cones. And like we now have custom terrain. And like the noise pattern of different mounds. And then again, Control-Z removes it all. This is just the rock tool. This is a tool that just gives you rocks, aka allows you to basically just make small little rocks in generation to where if you needed stuff like that based off the noise pattern in the noise radius, you can do that. But let's start with the first one, magic tool. Okay, so let's go back to the rock tool real quickly. Oh, the magic tool is a tool to select JSON block, yeah. So let's go back to the rock tool, right? Say I wanted to make a little rock out of stone, right? And I place that there. I'm like, okay, I just want to select only that one thing. The magic tool basically looks at every block that is touching or within the radius of the same, because the radius is at 1,000. If I go to 3, It's now only at 3. If I go to 24 or 100, it will then have a range of it. So you can go a range of 5. You can then do a range of this, and it will only select those, and it can go based off the vertical, the horizontal, and you can replace it, you can add to it, you can subtract to it like Photoshop does. So this tool, if I wanted something very specific, I could then select just this here, and I now have this tool. This is a selection. Selections allow you to apply tools and operations to specifically parts of the world. To clear a specific selection, press Enter. If you Control F, you can use to fill the selection with a different block. Control R replaces the block, and Control C, Control X is to cut, delete, so on and so forth, right? So if I go Control Z, I now have this unnamed block, right? I have this right here. There's a whole blueprints tab in the clipboard section, by the way, so you can like download pre-built stuff and then like just copy and paste it in the world. But if I Control V to paste in clipboard, let's see, do I have the clipboard, annotations? This is where we're learning. Let's see, probably in the stamp tool. Yeah, add clipboard. So I basically, it's like, this is like the clone stamp, right? So we have the clipboard. It has now taken this. I can now make another version. I can make multiple versions. And it will, if I hold it and I move it around, it can just do different placements and variations of it. And we now have identical patterns. And then I want to Control Z all those. Done. Right? So that's basically what this is used for, is you can make selections, right? Like you can get big selections, you can then fill it. So if I can Control F, I say I want all this to be water. It's now all water. All the grass that was there and other parts that were selected are water. And if I want to fix it, gone. I then need to just press Enter and it removes the selection. It's a lot of shortcuts, but it tells you up here, right? If you want to fill, if you want to replace, like it tells you what the selections are based off the shortcuts. So like you can also just put it here. You can also copy entities and copy the error blocks and everything. Like if I was only wanting that, right? I could then fill this with lava, and now only the spots that I selected are lava. And then Enter. There's also, again, a flight speed. So, a little bit faster on the movement that you are using, of course, down here. Make it a little bit easier to move around. All right, so we have that tool. We now have the box tool. The box tool lets you select, it selects a box between 2 points, right? It's very similar to that move tool that we had. So to start using this tool, select the point, drag your mouse to another point, and then release, and afterwards you can adjust the gizmo to confirm the selection. If I select a point here, I could then select everything here. I could then also go up into the sky. I could then go out. I could then come back in. And I'm like, I just want this thing right here. We can shrink it down. We can make it bigger. We can go 0.1 to 0.2 and then adjust the set points there, right? So like if I wanted to increase this by 100 manually, you can just use these tools right here. Or if I wanted to do point and size, the positionings are here, the size is here. So like 10, 4, 1. We now have a much smaller scale than what we had before. Right? And again, this selection mode, you can add, replace, so on and so forth. But say you're just wanting this selection here, right? Done. But why would this matter? Why would this tool like be needed, right? Simple, because I can go out of this and say I wanted a tree. right? Say I wanted a tree. I can then go back into here, and then I can select the tree's dimensions, and then I can determine the point of the tree. And then if I press copy, we now have the area of a tree. There's even, and then again, if I do Command V into the paste tool, if I go back to the stamp, add the clipboard, we now have both the tree and the rock, right? So like I can now add these tools back and forth, and they're now my blueprints and so on and so forth, right? We can also clear them to remove them, and we can also then go to and from all that, right? The flying is a little weird to get used to, but that's basically the box tool. If you want just like big overall areas you need to copy and paste, this is the tool to use. Because you just take your 2 points, make a point, make a selection, and then press enter, and then it gives you all that. So if you wanted to copy the air, copy the entities, you could do that. You can then replace it, right? So I can take this entire section and replace it with only the dirt gets replaced, right? Like say, hey, I like this tree, but I want to replace that tree. I want to replace the oak leaves with, let's say cherry wood leaves. Now they just, everything in that section, it was just the leaves that got replaced, and it was now only the oak leaves and not everything there. Pretty useful, right? And then again, if you, as you saw there, I took this, I right clicked and I added it to the block, and that's what that did. It took that section. I middle mouse button to grab it. And then there, see? Everything can be cherry wood. Like, look, if we want to replace this with cherry wood specifically, and then also replace the leaves with cherry, it is now an oak style tree, but with the cherry leaves and wood. Great for testing out textures. Yep. So if you do a big texture gradient, which actually there is something for this here, you can do that. And then again, Control Z removes it. You're done. Press enter. And we're back to normal. Okay, what else? So we have that. We now have... Hold on, let me fix my positioning real quick. We now have the freehand tool. Now the freehand is basically the same thing of a masking tool. So these 4 tools right here are all masking tools. Have you ever used Photoshop or something that creates a mask, whether that be like trying to have a certain section out? This is what this does. So you can make a small section, right? And then it will do that entire area, right? So like if you wanted to just mask out that, you can. And it's showing that in a variation of it. So that is showing also both the add and below. Again, you can replace, you can have a selection for replacing, you can have a section for moving it, but entirely that. So replace will always do the section, add will add in multiple sections to it, right? Like, so you can mask multiple things. Subtract, again, will remove some of the parts that you're not wanting. And invert will do the entire opposite, where everything else that was selected gets inverted. So, and again, you can do that in a cube shape, you can do that in a smaller shape, a circle, whatever. Right, and the reason why this is useful is because say you're wanting to just only mask this tree, you can it would be very, you can be tedious, right? But you can go cube, add, and then you could just mask out the parts that you're wanting, right? So like only half this tree is. Now I can cut, and I've now taken parts of this out. So if you need to move something, if you need to rotate, you can change the direction, you can change the perimeters, right? And then it will show you that. And if I press enter, would you look at that? You could also then duplicate, so you can have identical portions like that. Say you were only wanting this here, right? Say you're just wanting that. You could go duplicate, move it, and now you have two identical trees. You could also then paste it. And would you look at that? We have two identical trees just like this. The other thing, again, is you can go back, get all of that, copy it, put it back into your Tamps tool, add from clipboard, and then let's see, how would we... You can do automatic offsets. How would we allow... Oh, there we go. So it's basically doing a cube or a circle or a sphere and where it is, but it's taking what you're wanting. And it's there. But like, yeah, look, see, if you made a tree... Scappy Raiders, welcome on in. Hope you had a wonderful time on stream. We're just doing some Axiom right now, learning it. But I hope you all are well. Right, so the reason why this is useful, right, chat, is say we come out of this. We're now back in there. We're missing some of the top parts because we didn't fully, like, get that. That's fine, though. If I control Z, where's the control? If I control Z in here, it will remove it, right? Say I make a custom tree, right, chat? Say we make a custom tree that we are wanting, and like we have a bunch of different textures and we change up the block patterns a little bit, right? And we're doing stuff like this, and we're getting some stairs and some fences, some slabs, and we just have a nice little tree, right? A nice, good, just textured tree. Let's say we want the leaves different, right? Let's say we want some jungle leaves mixed in. Why you'd want jungle leaves, I have no idea. But let's say we do. And you know what? Let's also get some cherry wood leaves in there, because why not? Random. But this is what I'm showing. There was some MCCI shenanigans going on. Oh, nice. So we have this, right? Say we have this tree right here. If we go back into our thing, and we want to, let's say, freehand, we can do a radius, like so. We can then also subtract from different parts that we are not wanting. Actually, let's see, what would be the easiest way to do this? Probably, yeah, doing this. Oh. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Making sure that the selections that we have are all there. All of it's selected, all of it is good. Make sure we're not missing any. Right, so we have our tree. We can then copy this crazy thing. We can add it from clipboard. We can then do a bigger radius, right? We can then have a minimum spacing we can extend to ground or apply gravity / extend the ground depending on if we're working with elevation. We can do deferred. And if I right click, we now have different trees at different spacings. We could also make the spacing smaller if we want it more dense. And they're all there. Used to build the map for cowboys. Yeah, and I'm learning it right now, Ship. I'm trying to figure out how to use all the tools and everything properly. So I'm teaching chat as I go along and learn. So really, really cool. Shep, do you know a super quick way to copy and paste stuff? If you need help with that, if you want something to select, for example, you want to select a custom tree, right? How would you go about selecting all the parts of it? Because I know in Cowboys that tree had fences, walls, different leaves, different blocks. What would be the best tool for selecting those type of stuff, that type of stuff? Because there's also the lasso tool, which basically the lasso lets you select an area and then confirm, and then it'll select everything that was there. Design mountains. So we will get to that point. But lasso is very interesting because lasso you can do just a big zone, and then it will do everything that you were seeing, but it doesn't do the things that you can't see. So it's not the best. That's why I prefer the magic tool or even the box tool. Actually, if you were able to raise this, I mean that could work. If you had a custom world chat, change the depth of the lasso. Oh, you can change the depth? Oh, you can change the depth of the lasso. I did not know that. Huh. Oh. Oh, interesting. What's this? This is Axiom. This is a mod that helps with building, and I'm learning it right now. Oh, interesting. You'll select the whole part. Yeah, what I've been doing is I've just been using the magic tool, and I've just been going over like this. And I'm just selecting the parts that I need. And then that way, since it's all there, I can then just copy and paste it like that. Going deep and you get the most of it. Oh, okay. World Painter works wonders. That's why World Painter. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so these are just the selection masking tools. But I'm World Edit. Yeah, I'm not using World Edit. I probably should, but I just want to learn one thing at a time. And so I'm learning Axiom first, since it has a lot more going with it, and does a lot of things World Edit does, but better. But yeah, so those are all lasso tools. You then have a ruler tool. So gotta show you the rocks I got today. Let's go. But yeah, chat. So this is basically the ruler tool. Pretty much you make one point, and you have another point there. You're gonna do another point here, another point here. And what's really cool is if I go back into creative, it tells me how far these blocks are, but I can only see these in creative. So if I know I needed to go out X amount of blocks one direction, I can be like, okay, what's here? I'm like, okay, cool. I can then come off of this point and connect it there. Or if I wanted to be like, okay, I want to come off this point and again have 30, whatever it was, what was it, 31? 31 blocks, and then connecting it all the way up. I now have an even of points that lets me figure out building. Perfect triangle, perfect dimensions, all in Axiom without needing to worrying about like recounting my blocks out and needing to fix stuff. You can do block count, you can just do distance, right? Like you can just see how far it is based off the distance of what you're wanting. Which is really cool. Sent you rock? You sent me the rocks. Okay, those are pretty cool rocks. They're not just rocks, chat. They also are like geode / gemstones, and they're really cool. That's actually really cool. Yeah, those are cool. All right. So besides that, that's ruler pretty simple. We then have annotations. Annotations, it's a thing that like if you were working with a lot of different people and you weren't like always in a call. You tried the 0 slot stuff? Yeah, I already have. I've showed it already. That was the first stuff that I did. Annotations basically let you draw. And it also lets you type. So you can put things there on different parts, and they can only be seen in creative. And then you can also like then erase it. So this is very useful if you're working with a lot of different people. You can also add images. So you can like throw images up on like what is it? You could throw images up of ideas or concept art, right? Like say if you're building a castle and you're taking it off of like different concept arts, you can put those images on your screen and then you can look at them in game while you're building. You can also outline stuff. So like again, outline and it will be a like highlighted section and then you can be like this should be a lake, right? And then you go there and then you just like right click that and then it will like tell you. So really cool. Really nice part. We then have the painter tool. Now, this is actually where we start getting into the building aspect of it, right? The painter tool basically does what it says, right? So like you can select a mask and then you go to the painter tool and then it will only go to what that mask is. The mask surface. So it won't do anything on the outside, it will only do the mask area. You also, so if you're painting, if you're texturing, if you're doing all of that type of stuff, this is very useful because it lets you like any type of block that you're needing, it will replace that block. And it can be with anything, right? The leaves are now water. You can also add a custom palette if you're wanting. Like what you want to build. I'm using Axiom for an escape room that I'm building. I'm also going to be helping with a project. So I want to learn how to use Axiom properly in this. So that's why I'm kind of like explaining the chat while I am learning myself. So like you can make a gradient, right? Like that's the cool thing. If I wanted to do this entire grass area and I wanted to do a gradient, I could go like Podzol. I could then do coarse dirt, and we can Bezier it with some softer edges. And then as we go through this, everything within this area now has a different also do nearest. So like this is just the block percentage. You can constantly make different paths, create different interpolations of what you're wanting. We don't want to merge the strokes. We can have two overlapping. If we want to merge them together, it will then combine them. Right? So like this allows you to start making really good paths, or if you're wanting the nearest block within that radius, right? You can start working with interesting gradient patterns based off of, you can also just do type replace, and then like it will change up stuff, move it around. But that's sort of what this does. It just lets you paint. So like even without a masked surface, you can just paint gradients. You can just the nearest block. If you just wanted like different portions, right? And you can keep going with this. You can do some grass. You could then do some gravel. And then as we go, it's kind of like doing whatever sections. I know there probably is also a, yeah, here we go. Bezier kind of just makes better pathing. Or at least like digital art, yeah. So like if you need a path that has like one texture closer towards the center than the others, you can like adjust it and do whatever you need to it. Also, yeah, I'm also learning, so like I need to ask someone like Avid to help like explain certain stuff. But like you can graffiti, right? Like you could do a whole different like texturing of stuff and like make logos out of like landmarks. See? Because you're basically just painting at that point. Literally the painter tool. See? You're entirely just painting. But yeah, so we have that, and then we have the noise painter. This is what I was talking about. This painter tool allows you to create really good gradient patterns because you can go surface level without a 3D mode. You can also go anoxic. You can do the noise pattern, which is this right here, which will change it. You can go then to a different block count, right? So what this will do is you see the little like black here. The black here is what will not get will not become different, right? So you can constantly randomize the seed and then also mess with the jittering, mix with the like octaves and the latency and like the gain, right? So like all that. It's a lot on the computer, but as you go through, it will actually start creating, there it goes, it's updated itself, a proper like gradient to where, like, if you're wanting just a good gradient of an area, or gradient a wall or a building, it's taking all of this stuff and, like, adding it to that, right? So, like, say this is our, like, ground, or say I want to add then gravel into the mix of it. I can come back through and then add some gravel, and it will start, like, where all the grass was, gravel will get replaced with it now. Right? So say we have this. We can go back to the painter tool with our previous stuff, and now we got a road. Or let's get some dirt, some cracked stone bricks. Let's get some andesite. And sure, let's get some gravel. Right? And then this is now a road. Like halftones in art? Yeah, it basically is. Like, whatever you think it is, it probably is similar to that. But, like, we now got this textured-based road in an area. And then you could start building off of this. And again, if you don't like it, you can always just Control-Z. You could also just come all the way back up to here to, like, this and just unchange from that point. Undo 15 changes, and, like, it will revert that. MC Axiom moment. Actual drawing programs. Yeah, no, it's really nice. It's really, really cool. And then we have the biome painter. Again, this basically lets you take a specific biome and replaces it over another one. So, like, this is a plains, but guess what? We can now start adding in the biome. And what does that mean? It means this entire thing now, if we go to F3, where's my biome? Let's see, hold on. Okay, if you see right here, we're in a plains biome, right? And guess what? We're now in a badlands biome. We're now in a plains biome. Badlands. Plains. You can make custom biomes for it, right? So, like, and you can go all the way vertical, because biomes now aren't doo-doo grass. Yeah, so, like, you can go, because biomes are not just one section now. You can do, if you wanted to, right? You could go, like, a taiga biome here, and then, I don't know how to make things go up into the air. I'm not sure on... Okay, here. We'll do, like, taiga biome there, but then, like, let's do... let's go back to Badlands. If we have a lower radius, there are now two separate biomes in this area. Below it is plains to Badlands, and right above this is now taiga in this section. And you can see that based off this visual here. But if you're wanting entirely one chunk, you can do fill vertically, and this will fill the entire thing from all the way up to block height, and then all the way down to bedrock will be entirely this one biome. So if you were doing custom maps with different textures, you could change the biome based off different things. So, like, you could constantly keep having different biomes connected to each other, and they would merge and shift and change and do everything else. So that's what that does. It's really cool, really, really useful. And then, of course, we have an actual gradient pattern. So gradient pattern, right? So, like, from here to here, let's say from here to 50 blocks. Up here to here. How do we do this? Here to 50 blocks. I can then gradient it. Right? So you take your blocks. Let's, like, what's Chat, give me a good gradient block palette. Altworks Axiom? Yep, it does. What's a good block palette? Just throw me like 4 different blocks that could work together. Deep Slate the Pillow? Sure. Why not? What kind of palette you want? Anything. Anything that's just visually you'll be able to tell. Like a pretty good visual palette of like 4 blocks. Just so like you could see the understanding of this. We can go Deep Slate the Pale Oak. I just need 4 blocks that can do that. Because if we start with Deep Slate, Blackstone, Deep Slate. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's just do Blackstone to then going to Deep Slate, and then we'll go to like Tough, and then we'll go to like you know what? That's actually a good one. And then we can go to I don't have Pale Oak in this version. I'm using a version of Minecraft that doesn't have Pale Oak. That's fine. Well, we'll just go to like White Wool. Diorite? Yeah, I use diorite. Well, then we'll go to like White Wool. Okay, so we have we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different blocks, right? So different blocks. We can make the percentage value depending on how much of that block we're wanting, right? We can Bezier it, or we can do nearest block, but we can also do Bezier to make it cleaner. We can go based off of a plane. We can start here to here. Wherever this endpoint is the starting point. Wherever this point is the endpoint. So we take that, we then right click, and then we can drag that across. And as you can see, it slowly makes the gradient. We're using an older version because this is the mod pack for my escape room. And so I'm using an older version because I'm using certain mods that aren't fully updated yet. That's like, I also I'm not too worried about it because I'm not going to be using Pale Oak. So, but yeah. So you can basically take a point from there to there. It can be really short and it can go really quickly. You can also do it linear. Right, so linear continues that like color section that we see here. Bezier kind of blends it way more. But you can see it's always a different gradient pattern because it's a randomized seed. So the seed is what's allowing us to have this like variation. You also do type replace as well. So like if you were placing certain I think I might have replaced the grass and the dirt. Yep, and my game crashed. So type replace basically goes over the block. Good to know. It goes over the entirety of the block that you're replacing. So what that means is if you are wanting to replace a wall, right? I'm just gonna make a new version. We're not gonna worry about that. Super flat, structures off, done. Had it happen at least once, yeah. But yeah, so like here, for example, this would be the easiest way of doing it. If we get stone and we just do a let me use the stack tool. Oh, I missed. Don't over it. Stack tool, right? 0.1, 0.2. Oh, no, hold on. 0.1, 0.2. Confirm. Confirm. And then do that. We now have this, right? I then come back to here. I then go back to the gradient painter. We'll just take this. We'll just do granite and dirt. We'll do the, where was it? It was Bezier. Under a replace tool. I don't forget what it was under. But anyways, though. See. It even goes past it, which is funny. But you can only replace certain blocks, but I forgot what that was under. Clamp to edge. Basically, clamp to edge, I believe, will only go out to a certain distance. So it will only... Yeah, cool. I kept crashing my game and not making any progress, so I just gave out. A small build project where I couldn't use roll today. Yeah. But yeah, so that's basically your like gradient tool. You can also do circles. You can also like, again, you have like nothing that's really stopping you entirely. You're more like just basing it off a certain point, and it's doing that point from the center. And then we have one thing that I still have no idea how it works. The script brush. This brush, I have no idea how it works. And the reason why I have no idea how it works is it's basically this entire properties thing where you can import scripts into this and it will build stuff for you with the brush tool. So like if you're wanting an arch, like if you were, where is the, if you're wanting this like arch, or like something that would always do this weird pattern exactly perfectly every single time, this does that. So for example, heart. This is heart. I make it here. It has now made a heart. This is a preset. As you can see there, local size 32, XYZ, it's made a heart. If I wanted to change this, I could, and it's now made a smaller heart. But it uses actual math and programming to write code, and you can import presets. Like you could fully import, like this is a sphere. Like you want a glass dome, right? I don't know. There's the dome. Like you can turn the entirety of what you're wanting into those shapes. Like building graphs in 6th grade. Yep, but it fully shows you it. You want vines? It can make vines. It can do clear foliage, clear just flowers. You can have flowers, right? So like you can take a block, let's get roses, and it will just place flowers for you. Just in those areas, and you can make massive or much smaller. You can have them farther apart. You can have a spread be huge. Oh, I just stuck a, well. So yeah, like that basically is what that does. There's also another version that I have no idea about, but we're gonna get to that later. Then we have the freehand draw. Freehand draw is what it sounds like. It lets you freehand different blocks. So if you're wanting something that's like an arch, if you're wanting to make a bridge, if you're wanting to do like these... How did I do that? You can basically take this and you can constantly increase the sizing to mess with stuff. Like, yes, natural terraforming. So if you want big structures of natural terraforming, you can do just that. It's also trying to update all the lighting inputs. But then afterwards, it's useful. Right, so it also doesn't have to be the shape. It can, like, if you want a cone and you want it to be like a spike with a small radius that's just up, you can do that. You can do a wall that's like a mountain. It's like, you want like these stone jagged peaks, you can create that. Like, you've now made a little canyon. See? You can make them really wide, like it's a volcano. You can reduce the rounding, make them really sharp and jagged, right? So like you can do this, and then if you want direction to also just be down, it can just be downwards. So you can make like stalactites that are like going downwards, right? So if you wanted if you wanted like a almost proper staircase into the mountain, right? You could do stuff like this, and it's only facing down now. And you now have this little terraformed part that you can then go back through, and then you could start actually designing and like messing with. Because that looks semi-natural. Right? And then if you don't want that, you just press Z, and it removes all of it. That would have been useful 2 days ago. Yeah. This is why I don't want Axiom. Well, this is why I'm wanting to use Axiom, because for like my build, just for context, the size that I am wanting this build to possibly be is, let's just, no, that's shrink. Let's just start here. The size that I'm wanting this build is like this, or actually probably bigger than this. Probably like this, give or take. And the reason why, it might not be this big, this might be an exaggeration. It's basically because this building has multiple rooms inside of it, and I need to keep all of it contained into one localized area. So I need to make hallways, I need to make rooms, I need to do levels, and all of this to do that. And if I was to build all that by hand, it would really not be fun, because I could then... How big was the last escape room comparison? Way smaller than this. I can say that much. And also, I might want to do some terraforming and like have people enter into this building before it even gets there. So, yeah, that's kind of why I'm like wanting to learn this. We then have the sculpt draw. Now, the sculpt draw tool, it allows you to sculpt terrain, pulling blocks based on the surface, right? So, remember how we were talking about this whole like freehand draw stuff, where we're like, okay, we want this here, and like maybe we want it to have like a little bit of some like dirt Why not? Like, let's say there's some like dirt patches then that are actually above this here, right? This isn't gonna be perfect, but you know what I mean, right? Like, let's say we take the, so here. Ideally, this is how this would go. You would take your shape, you'd make it into like diamonds, right? You would then take like the gradient pattern tool. You would then go sphere, you would then change the blocks that you're wanting. Stone, andesite, dirt, grass. Let's see. Is there a randomized seed? Masks the surface. This would then replace all this here. Right? And then like on the sides, you could then like clean some of this up, move it. I know there's a way to like only do the diamond blocks, but I don't know how. Right? So say we got this little like stone hill. / time set day / game rule do cycle false. Cool. So say with this here, and we want to sculpt it, make it more. You have the sculpt tool. What this does is it lets you take those parts that you have and actually raise them and move them out and extrude them and like give you better like dimension and shape and like allows you to artificially adjust what you are wanting to give you that proper size. You can also reduce the strength to make it not as like harsh. You can really increase the strength where it's going to get really, really strong when it pulls up. You can only do the mask the y-axis, so like it's only going to go up via the y and not the x. So like if you only want to make it taller, you could then pull it there and then just pull it out, and so it won't go anywhere up on the y-axis. So like if you were only wanting this, you could just take that and then pull it down. So like these blocks here, pull forward, pull over, and you start to see like how this can be useful, because now you can start creating terrain and different like sizing to where it's a bit harsher. You can also invert it, so like if you want to like clear out some section, like you can start making tunnels and like alcoves and like clearing out portions before that. Right, so that's what that does. Basically, it takes whatever portion you're wanting, and it will pull whatever's on surface level to that like location. So again, here's the rock tool. We already talked about the rock tool and how like you make little rocks and then you could like adjust the strength. You already know that one. We then have the weld tool, which I don't know what this tool does. So let's see, because I don't think this was in the video that I saw. So it's a flat circle that you can sort of push together. If anyone knows what the weld tool is, let me know. You can replace blocks. So like it would only replace the diamond. Replace solid blocks, I should say. But again, you can do cube pattern and do all of that. Melt? Okay, so melt. Wait, hold on. So if I do this and I do this. Okay, so I thought it would like fill in gaps. It doesn't. It looks like it's kind of taking whatever the block is that it is like masked to and is like forming over that. So like if I take some stone and I just take that, go back to the weld. Oh, it's right here. So like you're taking a block and you're welding it over the other block. So it doesn't replace it. It's sort of like, oh, so you can replace solid blocks with it, but you could like do smaller detail work, I'm assuming, with this over here. And then like whatever the radius is what it is. Because so like that, I'm guessing it's still underneath it. Yeah, so like it when reversing, it's cool. But yeah, so like it goes over the blocks that you're wanting instead of fully replacing them. Interesting. Again, then we saw the stamp stool. Basically, you make a selection, right, and you just control, make that, copy it, and then paste it to clipboard. Add to clipboard, and now you have this little blueprint here, which you can then just adjust the sizing of and make different variations of what you just built. Again, then there's a text tool. Basically, this is just full text, and it does it out of the blocks. Pretty simple. It takes based off of the blocks that you are wanting or recently used. So it allows you to have just a proper way of building stuff, both in the X and Y direction. And you can pull it, you can move it up, you can adjust it. So if you're building signs on buildings or anything like that, that's what this is for. Now we have our shape tool, which basically just takes a shape. Why is that so far away? Bring that over here. Bring that up. So it takes our shape, and we can basically just have any shape that we want. And we can make it super big, super small. So like if you're wanting a sphere of glass, so like for example, Avid's Christmas like hide and go seek like build that he did, right? The little snow globe. This is that variation of it to where you could take a glass ball, adjust it, make it however big or want, change the rotation, and then you could instant place it somewhere, or you can just have it be where you want. You can also rotate it, which is kind of cool. You can actually rotate these shapes, so if you're wanting a certain type of like shape design, you can do that. So there, and then there, right? And then if I press enter, we now have a glass ball. And then again, if you want to use the gradient tool, glass, blue glass, and you start having this way of being able to start gradient and like messing with different designs. And that's all part of the gradient now. Oh, that's actually above it. Oh. So it's actually not being placed on the ball itself. Interesting. Again, still learning how some of this works. He's bothering me. Let me see. Is there a way that I can actually gradient this? Let's see. You can do flat. Oh, you can do flat. That's cool. You can do solids. Maybe if we'll replace filter. Let's see. Painting. Oh, the painting tool. Let me see. Mask surface. Mask surface. There we go. So if I select this, if I select this, and then I go to the gradient painter, and then I do it, yeah, see? So now all of that is now being technically gradient on the ball itself. So you can kind of like start messing with gradients on floating objects. Cool. You had a good day so far. It's all good. Also, Chorus Corner, thank you for subscribing now at tier 2. And you've been sub for 2 months. For a month on tier 2. I appreciate that. Thank you for the tier 2 sub. But yeah, so we can do different like stained glass, right? Like red, and let's do pink, right? And since it's all in the masking layer, we can then do this entire glass ball from the side that we're looking at. Pink. Now there probably is an easier way of doing this where you could probably do the entire ball itself be a gradient. Let's see if we can figure that out. So this is the shape that we have. Is there a way that we can do a gradient hollow metal? Whoa, what is this? Oh, that's so cool. So if you do metal ball, it basically takes whatever you're doing and kind of smushes it downwards. It's like if I take diamond, it shows you what that would look like. Huh. It's not letting me place it, though. I don't know why it's not letting me place it. We can cut it. Huh? Oh, I think, oh, it's because I have the mask there. Hold on. There we go. Now if I take that sphere, metal ball, and then we do something like that. There it is. So like it actually looks like it's melted. That's really cool. Huh. So that's shapes. You can probably mess with a lot of them. Like probably a lot of these have different, like, yeah, metal cube that you could probably adjust and like mess with. Right? Like this is now just this weird cube shaped pattern. You could also then reset the rotation. Oh, that's so cool. So metal basically fuses the parts together. So like you see how this is not here? With metal, if you look right here, it starts trying to fuse those parts together to connect them. Wait, so if I take a different color like gold, yeah, it tries to fuse those parts. As like it's connecting to it. That's really cool. Look, magnetic, yeah. So the metal portion, God, that makes sense. All right, then you have your path. Your pathing, basically lets you set points, and it lets you build these different paths that you can set to, right? So these are really nice. Because if you're wanting to like adjust a pathway, you can move it, you can loop it, you can connect it to different points. And it lets you start making really interesting pieces. It's basically vectors, yes. It's the idea of using a vector. And based off the points that you touch, allows you to adjust them in that space. So you can do line Bresson, you can do a line DDA, you can do a Bezier curve. So if you want to curve this line, right, you make points like this, and you can start actually adjusting the curve of how this is looking. And you can get some very funky shapes. So you can start actually curving really drastically on points that you're wanting to make. So if you're doing like these big organic builds, like this could be the spine of like a dragon, and you can then start building off of this, right? Like you could then start having a point be here, and like another point that connects to there, and then done, and then you want to point there, and you want like there to then there, and then done, and you start seeing, you can start actually adding these big curved arc shapes. And you can like make proper wings, and you can adjust stuff like that. So you can start getting into the whole organics with curvature and such, which is really cool. And then we have modeling. I don't know what modeling does. What does modeling do? Does it set a point? Oh, so it allows you to have a single key point that you can adjust the surface wise. Add a row. What does a row do? Oh, it makes two different points. So like you could take something like this, press enter, add a row. That second row can be, let's say, glass. Hold on, let me. So we have this point right here. Let's have that be diamond. We can move that point to here. We can have different surfaces, apparently, of like mesh and visual mesh. Oh, okay, so like the modeling portion. So smart mesh we could do that there, and then we can make another one. And you can start kind of like for really big organics. Digit Daydreams, thank you for the raid. Welcome on Raiders. Just working and learning Axiom right now. But I hope you had a wonderful stream. Thank you again. So extend to ground. I'm guessing if I press enter, yeah, it's going to connect all the way to the ground. So what this allows, right, chat, is you could like add different points and you can start like building, right? Like you can start modeling like organics or statues or structures. And it would allow this point. So press E to extrude point. Okay. And you can adjust the sizing and the shape of the modeling as it connects to it. Interesting. Okay. Have a good stream. Thank you. Are we getting this most of this so far, chat? Like, has most of this seemed pretty self-explanatory for what we're working with here? That's actually useful. So you can basically take the modeling tool, move it somewhere, and then you can start taking other structures and bits, and you could start like building off of what you were working on. Interesting. Okay. What I miss a lot. I don't understand the model. The modeling basically lets you take a smaller object that you can use, and it lets you start to adjust it as like a structural point. And you can start like needing to adjust this. So basically, like, take this for example, right? Say you needed a starting point of like here. You could make, see, that. So like it takes the point that you need. It's basically this, but way simpler because it takes it and makes like, if you understand like cosplay or when you're building stuff, the mache / wireframe that goes into certain props in like costumes, right? You could take this, take a point here, and then connect it to there, and it will make that wireframe for you. So you're taking 2 points, and you're doing it like this. The benefit of this is you can adjust this on any angle. So like you can make it into the sky and then adjust the point that you are wanting. See? So like you can do different things, and then what you can do, right, is then you can go back to your pathing, take the 2 points of the pathing, Bezier curve, and then start adjusting what you need for that path. Because you want it to go from that point over to here. You now have made that point of where you wanted the end of your wing Like, let's say this is for a dragon. This is the dragon wing. I wanted the end of the dragon wing to go here. I could use the modeling tool to set the point that I was wanting. Move it up to me. It is a little weird with the visual stuff, but you see, because it gets really wonky. But I could then have like a point here. I can then go back to my pathing. Oh, I forgot to set that point. We have now that point there. I then want to make a path, so I then go there to there, and it's made that point. And then I can press done, and now we have that little point connected. So I can also then change these paths to where it's like, okay, I need this path to be wider, I need to be shorter. I can then also make another path that connects there to there. So like now we have all these little connections. So seems most difficult. The camera is weird because you feel like it's normal Minecraft, but you have to move with your mouse. Like you have to hold left screen and then pull it the direction you're wanting to go to. So it's a little bit finicky when it comes to that. The path tool and the modeling tool is not necessary, and it really isn't. I can see where it's being used. I just don't know what the benefit is towards it right now. But it definitely is helpful. And then you have flood fill, which basically is just filling an area with a block. It's basically the bucket tool. You want water, there's your water. You want the world to be water. Here's the world full of water. Like that's the whole point of it. It allows just an entire thing to be filled. Entire area. So like, for example, you were masking out something. Let's say you masked out this, right? You could then go to the fill tool, and then you should just be able to right click with that, I believe. If it's not, then that's a missed opportunity. Okay, you can't apparently. Huh. Thought that's what it'd be used for. But yeah, so it just throws in a whole source block of stuff, but it doesn't also replace it, so it fills in the gaps. Fluid ball is what it sounds like. It is a ball of fluid. So we're now waiting for this to be done because I pressed right click on a very small object. I just press cancel. Can I make this? Okay, it doesn't want to cancel. Well, we're here now. Now we're at 62%, it's fine. Waiting. Yeah, no, this has been a good chat. This has been a good little, like, test, because I've actually gotten to practice with Axiom. So this has, like, allowed me to, like, sort of get the basics down for it. Ah, that's why. It basically took the top part of the fluid and then put everything down. So it made an entire ball of fluid. That's why it took so long. And I replaced it all with grass. Oh. Cancel. Okay, cool. Let me just get off of that tool real quick. So it basically took the top portion and then it made a proper ball by going up and down. So that's why, because I had the down portion of it. So let's remove that. Let's fix its lighting. We now have elevation. So elevation, pretty much what it sounds like. You hold down right click and it will slowly elevate up the land and whatever's underneath it. So you can actually start making proper little like hills and mountains and like a good little elevation tool based off of what the blocks are. And you have the different variations of here of how it will look. So if you're wanting to do like small slopes, small little hills, this is just a really helpful tool for that. And then you have slope. Allows you to slope terrain between 2 points. Using this tool, click once to set the target position, then move the mouse to a different position and click and drag to draw. So if I click there and then I go there, oh, I see. Click there to there. I can then start actually making a slope that is a proper slope. So like, for example, remember that modeling tool that we had? This little tool, right? This little guy here. We can go to slope, click on U, click all the way down to here, and then we can properly slope upwards towards that point. And we got an actual gradual slope incline. Because you can't do that without something higher up. So again, the modeling tool allows that to like help with that. So because I also want a plane. Oh wow. Yeah, so it's based off the plane, so where the access point is. Huh. And it also seems like there has to be some type of slope to increase it. So if we go back to here, it has now done everything on a visual around that highest point, and it will now make the slopes for it. It's not so much that I'm not unbothered. Like, all of this is really cool. It's just I've seen this stuff be used before. I've just never understood how it worked. So getting to use it now, it's all making sense. So again, we come back on. You come back to here. We can make a slope point. Oh. Let's go back to there. Okay, cool. So we have our little, like, mountain here, right? So we have this here. We can then smooth it, and basically what this should allow is to kind of smooth out the points that we're wanting to not make it as harsh. So we are flattening certain portions out. We can increase the strength of it to make it a bit easier. But what this does is it will allow a like smoothness process to happen to where we can kind of make different like edges and portions to where it doesn't have to be as strong. We can also add some block modifiers to fix instead of replacing. So if we wanted to, we can increase the blocks, we can decrease the blocks. You can, whatever grow does. I think that makes plants, you can melt which is basically just increasing, removing. You have stabilize. And of course, you can change it to different portions. So it's a nice little tool that you can kind of make different connection pieces. Then we have distort, which distort is what it sounds like. You kind of distort the structure as a whole. How far you want it, how small you want it. Kind of just not so much removing the blocks, but actually just pushing them around and changing what they look like. Right? So you start creating this very weird mesh almost. To where like you're removing some, adding some, putting it all together. This would be for planning mega builds, because it is. So this is what it's used for. Axiom is designed to help with building. Mega builds, small builds, whatever. It just allows it. We have roughen, which I'm guessing just, yeah, roughens out the terrain, makes it more broken up. We have shatter, which breaks it off of a random seed generation. So like if you need different stuff to be broken up, you can do that. And I'm guessing if we use the flood tool, we can then replace it all with water, because it's basically a replace tool. So like that, go back to the magic select tool. Let's decrease that radius down to there. And then let's go to the painter tool. Let's go replace surface, and let's do blackstone. And look at that. Everything that was selected is now this. So, fun little tool there. And then we have extrude, which make that way smaller. Extrude does what it says it does. It allows you to increase the height of a block by 1. It's the same thing that we had in the standard one. You can also then shrink it back down. So if you need something to be smaller, shorter in height for elevation, you can do that. It can be a block state, it can be a solid, it can be any. And you can remove, increase, displace. It's going to be like everything by 1. That's it. But yeah. And last we have modify, which revolve, copy, twist. Let's see what twist does. I don't know what this tool does. Missing selection. Okay, so we have a selection. We click on it. We can modify that selection, which then means, I'm guessing, we can change its degree to like 90, axis on like 10, axis then be like 5, and we have this little wonkiness to it, but I don't know what this does. Oh, okay, so like it allows you sort of like, oh, actually, modify twist, right click, twist section. Okay, yeah, so you can then twist the section and actually like fully change what you've copied. So you can do really weird patterns that'd be really annoying to build in Minecraft, like a potato chip, yeah. So you can keep let's do 180. Oh yeah, like you can do a full helix if you really wanted to. Cool. So that's basically everything there. In the bottom right, you can adjust the time. Again, you can change the weather, you can make it rain, see how that looks, see how your build looks like that. You can clear it up. You can make player mob spawning, the different block rate, block gravity, fire tick on or off. It's just the standard world properties. Interesting though. All right, so let's try something. Say I want to build some trees, because I'm probably going to want to build some trees if I want to do some decoration on the outside. So let's get some spruce. That and that, and then so if we were to do a tree, right? Hold on. Or actually, just do it this way. We can take this. Actually, we won't do that yet. We will just build this tree first. There, I'm just gonna make a small one for now, just to see how. So like, let's try this real quick. I'm trying to also use just different blocks to see how this would work. So we have that. So like, let's say we just have something like this, right? It's a little bit wonky of a tree, but that's fine. We're not really trying to make anything perfect right now. So we have this, right? If I go here, I then take this magic tool. Actually, let's do the box selection real quick, because I want to see if this would work. I then go there, raise it up just so it's covered, right? I can then confirm. I then copy it over, go to the stamp tool, Command V, that to paste to the clipboard, add from clipboard. Actually, let's add clipboard. So now we have this, but I want to then take a modeling, come up to here. Nope, forgot to do that. Take the modeling, come up to here with this. I'll paste that in. Stamp tool, make that radius smaller. Can I want to add, how would I go about this? Because I want to see if I can do something a bit differently here. Maybe if I do a flat surface, just turn that into a diamond, enter, and then stamp tool. It's not. Shape. That's too big. Let's do a cube. Let's just do a normal cube like that. We'll press enter. Stamp tool. Why can't I can do that. But it's not wanting. I'm not trying to clip the grass. I'm trying to figure out if I can just use this, right? Wait, hold on. If I... Actually, better idea. If I go here, I then move. And it probably would be an easier way of doing this, right? If I have the box tool, make my point up to here, probably go inwards, and then move that in. So we have this. If I copy that, and then I add the clipboard, we have this. What I'm trying to do is remove the ground layer. You see what I mean? I'm trying to remove that grass. How would I do so? Is the question. Okay, so that is there. So if I then to here, okay, I can do that. And the reason why I want to do that is because then I can just break this bottom portion, right? And then I can do this without having to worry about... I mean, I could also just do that in... what's it called? Just use the normal select tool. Or the magic select tool, but I'm also trying to see if this would just be easier if I do it this way. There just has to be a faster way of selecting. And there probably is, I just don't know what it is. That's not it. Because, like, I think the other thing I could do is just go range here and then just do this. The thing is, I just have to make sure I select every block, which actually wouldn't be that difficult. Right, because now we have this. And now if I copy that, now that's only the tree. I think that's the easiest way of doing this. And then if I Command V, oh, you can also just do it this way. Huh. But then you can also use the stamp tool and have a bunch of trees in different areas. Or if you need a really big area, like that. Cool. And then now what we can do is we can then go to the okay, let's go. Let's go biome. No, not biome. Oh, what I should have done first actually is make a selection like this. Go to the painter tool. Go to mask surface only. Change this to Podzol. Basically paint all this in as Podzol. Then take the stamp tool and then add that. Or then take the gradient tool, come back through with some gravel and some dirt. No, I need the biome noise. And take some gravel, some dirt, or coarse dirt, some dirt, and let's just do some cracked stone. We can surface, cube, randomize the seed. We can then like make a path. No, maybe we'll remove that. It's also luckily only doing the mask thing and not that. So actually I could do that first. And then paint. Or gradient tool. Isn't there a different gradient tool? Noise painter, was it? Yeah, noise painter. But I think I can gradient tool Bezier. No, Podzol this with the mask on a plane. See, but it's only I'm not wanting that. I'm wanting random. So I think painter or gray noise painter. Yeah. With very small amounts. Okay. So the block count slash threshold is what's allowing it to be made. Because then I can do something like that. And then I can take this, make it small. Line there to there? No. Where was that tool that we had, chat? That's better. Is it free to use? Yeah, Axiom is fully free to use. Would be great there. Fill tool would be great. Fill tool to just fill everything with Podzol, really good. I didn't think about that, but that would be. Let me see. Because it's just, yeah, that's just there. I can make snowy Podzol. Huh, didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, Axiom's free. It's any mod as long as your PC can run it. Freehand sculpt, rock, weld, melt. It has to be the painting stuff. Maybe if I go andesite, crackstone brick, some stone, and then I reduce the size to be smaller. Yeah, okay, so that's what we need to do. Reduce the size. Reduce the scaling. Yes, okay, cool. We can then randomize the seed. Increase the block count so there's less black on the screen. I could then make a point from here to here as like a little pathway. I can then make it night just to see what this looks like at night. Modrinth, Curseforge, I believe, but I think it's a fabric-based item. So we have that. And how long did that take, chat? For my first time learning how to do all this, imagine I tried doing this by hand. You know how much time that would have taken? A lot. Yeah, a lot. But what we can do is we can reduce the amount of trees by making different variations of trees. Like having different versions of trees, taller ones, shorter ones. Then you start adding like by hand, you can start placing some blocks here and there. We can then go back into Axiom, get the little rock tool, right? Make it small. And we can start adding let's see. Extend the ground. Oh, because that. There we go. We can then start adding like little. Let's do reduce the noise. Yeah, we could start like taking these rocks and just put them in different like parts. And you start creating like a bit more environment into it. Now, definitely need to remove some of the. You would definitely have to remove some of the trees here, right? But if you start creating this big landscape, right? Because then you could start adding a few more stuff here and there, adding some like hills, so it's not as flat, right? So we can come back into here, go to the elevation tool, and we could start. Oh, it's actually removing. Let's see. Is there a way? Okay, so you'd probably want to do elevation tool first. No, don't want a height map. Also reduce the strength. All right, like you can start doing this to not make it as tall. All right, so like you would do all this before you start adding in the details like the trees. And I can want to maybe shrink down some stuff. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Let me reduce that limit, please and thank you. So like shrink down some of this, creating a bit more pathway. Hold on, elevation. Once. But like if I come out of this, you can start to see the idea of like moving some of this out, adjusting some of this here and there, and you start getting a bit more into like the depth of certain things like this. So you can understand what I'm being a little over dramatic when I do like that much force into a build. But definitely something that you can if you don't like it, you come back to here and you remove it all. Plain and simple. You can start all over again. So there definitely is probably a really easy way to make terrain. Definitely something I would need to figure out. Probably watch some tutorials on how to do like custom terrain generation in Axiom, and like follow those tutorials on how I need to. But yeah, that's the Axiom mod, and I'm glad I kind of did this on stream. Tool masks. Oh, there's also fill gaps. Oh, okay. So operation replace, type replace, set biome. Oh, you can set the biome. Oh, so these are the different simulate gravity, hollow, analyze, animate, build, animate, rebuild. Okay. Tool masks, the different keybinds you can do, your views, the different selection tools. I have a built-in schematic paste for survival. You could probably combine it with Lightmatica, and it would work. Oh, here. Okay, so yeah, on the painting tool, you can make a pathway by doing it this way. Got it. So it's the painter tool. So you take different gradients. And like it will being built into SPK. That would make sense. And definitely like interesting that you can do it. So it's also taking like the same blocks over and over again, and you get really like funky gradient patterns. And what's cool is if you like it overlaps the existing with certain blocks. That's because it's all the same. And then if you want more like a random gradient, you Bezier it with a random seed each time. Huh. Doing a whole map learning. Hope you can incorporate this into it now. To be fair, I just started learning it, so... Yeah, I could. If I really wanted to draw my logo, it's just, that, bup, bup, bup. That's better. Yeah, for those who don't know, basically that logo is just the A in abolish and the R in regret, just combined into two. So if you take like an A, right, and then you take the R, it's basically that. But it's the one half of the R and the one half of the A. So like this is the A, that's the R, that's the A, that's the R. Really simple, really easy. Yeah, I want to figure out how to, because it has to be something out other than shape that, because I want to know is, I think it is just like the shape tools. I think it is just this that allows floating blocks to be in the sky. I could also just build it in the sky. Yeah, that would be easier. And I just let that Mathematica to build. That can work. Yeah, definitely want to like mess with this and see what I want to do with this. Because the escape room that I want to do would be very fun. And the reason why I want to do this, hold on, let me. I'm going to close out of this real quick because I need to disable Lightmatica for what I want to show. Because Axiom breaks the shaders. With the shaders that I use. So I need to close out of Axiom. But I want to do a very silly magic residue, because it kind of is a very funny escape room that isn't normal. It's not a typical escape room where you basically just have to do different challenges. You just have one goal, and it's basically make it your way to the top of a building, right? And then press your button at the end. And I want to do this with like duos and such, so people that are just like you commonly see together. Because it'd be very funny for them to try to work this out. Because the reason why /time set midnight is the shaders that everyone would be using. So instead of it's a like Tower God. No, so combine the idea of the escape room of get to the top of the building as fast as you can while trying to basically find a lever to unlock the door on each level, right? Basically, so that's why I want to copy and paste because every level is gonna look exactly the same, except the lever is hidden somewhere differently each time. So in a different placement of that same room, right? And so it's two people doing it, trying to find this, but at the same time they are getting chased. Oh, so you're inside the building, yes. But at the same time they are getting chased by me, who basically can't run and can't crit, but is invincible, and is trying to hunt both of them down. And so if they both survive, they get a huge time reduction. If they don't, it also ends if both of them die. It also, so either it ends when they finish or it ends when both of them die. And so the idea, right? Hold on, let me turn off the music. Right, is we have that aspect of it, but I've also added a bunch of sound immersion in different it's very light modded, but just like some sound design mods, a few other custom like wardrobe mods for like interior, because it's really annoying to build Minecraft interior. But then added to that, we add insanity shaders, which it's really dark right now because I actually haven't modified these to make it a little bit brighter for perspective, right? But on top of that, each of them get a flashlight to look around this massive building. And it's not modified. Yeah. So it's very much like a horror game. Yes. So I want to do this with duos because it'd be very funny of both of them trying to find this while freaking out. But on top of that, we have it wouldn't be in Discord. It would be entirely in voice chat with proximity chat on. So they could hear me, I could hear them, and you hear the running and such. So I wanted to do this escape room in October, but vampires was happening, and so I put all my effort into vampires, and I pushed this back. But I'm glad I did because there was other stuff that I've learned since then. But like increased player footsteps, different noises. You'd have proximity chat on. It would be very dark in the building, so you have to use a flashlight. But I want to get this working, and like designed wise, because like this mod with make more creepy. I don't want to add too many sounds because I still want to make it feel like Minecraft. I want the silence to add to that eeriness because again, in the video, I'm gonna add music in the background anyways. But this is kind of the idea, so that's why I want to get Axiom because I need to build a big building. I need to build a really big building. And so the other reason why I am on an older version of Minecraft is because of this flashlight. Because I'm using this flashlight incorporated with another mod called Lamb Dynamic Lighting, which involves around this. So that's kind of why. And I wouldn't have known about Insanity Shaders if I didn't do vampires. So I'm kind of glad that I stopped. But yeah, so like that's the idea. I want to get like 3 different duos or like people that would mesh really well together in that like scenario. That was just like playing center because it basically so it takes the concept of like that vibe of Slenderman, but also the idea that you're in the back rooms, so you're constantly in the same level every time you enter into a door. It's repeating itself, not exactly one to one, because it's actually going to be like a building with like different rooms and such and hallways, but every hallway, every room is identical. If you mind, I will not. I like slash hold on slash time set night, and if I put initiations back on, if I was to have slash effect give night vision, this is all I could see. It's not much. It's more than normal, but like it's not anything crazy. But I also want them to have a chance of myself being in the dark, because I don't know how this is with another person, so I think it would be very fun, right, is if I also rely entirely on their flashlights and their noises that they make. So, because like if they're looking off a flashlight and I see a flashlight beam or a brighter location in a hallway, right, I can then play into that, right? Like the thing is, I would only be allowed to walk. I would not be allowed to crit. The only weapon that I could have would be like a wooden axe, and that's it. So it's like a one hit, and I can't attack again until it's fully charged. But I cannot crit, so I am having the lowest attack speed. Right, so like that's like that is kind of the idea that I'm going with for this. I just need to get all of the finalized mods done. I then need to build the room. I don't think I need to do any terraforming. I think it'd just be very fun if they experience just being in the room itself, because that way that's also less work on my part, so I don't have to worry about terraforming landscape. How big would the room be? So, ideally, right, the rooms, it would be a hallway. It'd be like 3 different hallways, and each hallway has 3 to 4 identical rooms on each side. So like hallway 1, hallway 2, hallway 3, and then like that many rooms on each side. However big that would be, right? Because then I can build that, copy it, paste it onto itself, and then continuously do that over and over and over again. More on sound than visual cues. I would rely entirely mainly on sound. and some visual cues. They would have to rely both on visual and sound. Because, for example, they open up a chest. A chest makes a noise. And I could hear that. And then add, like, make the building, like, 5 levels tall. Right? Like, make it 5 to 10 levels tall. Right? Depending on how big the rooms are and how tall the rooms are. It's that scaled upwards, and then at the very top of the roof, there's like a button that's at the very end that you press, and once that press, it makes a sound, and that signifies that you have finished and the game is done. So we will see about that. I need to get stuff done with that, but that's the idea for most of it. One person is mostly blind, monsters hunting down the other players. Yeah, in a way. Again, I need to build everything first, then test it, and then I need to make sure other things work properly. Because what I essentially am doing is I'm taking this escape room concept, and I'm enhancing it to the point where I'm pushing it to almost be like a mini game. But I am using just every in-game vanilla stuff with some slightly modded additions to make it feel more like that. But yeah, I want to get a set times. Yeah, players would have like 30 seconds to a minute to get a head start. And the game would be in survival, and throughout different rooms and different chests there would be little like things that could help them, right? So like, for example, they could place a cobweb down in front of a door, so I would have to walk very slowly through it, and I would have to break with the axe, right? They could find cobwebs in chests. They could find slowness in a chest, right? Like all these different little like potions and items. They could find bread to give them food and like hunger, because it's a normal vanilla survival. So they have to. So if they take damage from me, they'll slowly lose hunger, and if they don't find food fast enough, then they will not get enough like food to like run around the area, which means I can then catch up to them. So there'll be different little like small useful things that they can find and use to protect themselves, right? So like that's kind of the overall idea. Hold on. And just allows them just stuff that they can find in different chests. Some might be empty, some might not have anything. But every single room, on every single floor, is one room that has a lever hidden somewhere in one of the rooms, whether that be in a barrel, whether that be in a chest, whether that be in a wardrobe, a desk, whatever it may be, right? They have to then find that lever, bring it to the iron door that's at the other end of the hallway, open it, and then go up the stairs to the next level. They repeat that basically X amount of times until they get to the very top. Comes with a small risk of you hearing them. Exactly, yes. It's the same thing like with a wardrobe. Hold on, let me pause the music. It's a little bit quieter. but I could also turn these up. That noise of opening up wardrobes, opening up desks, drawers. Like that type of stuff. When they are looking to try to find something, if they're like constantly opening and closing things really quickly instead of taking their time to find it, there could be some certain chests, like certain areas, like for example, in the bathroom, in the medicine cabinet, there can be a potion with an instant health. Not always, but sometimes. There can be like a potion with an instant health. So like if they are super weak, it's like a bandage, and they get to like throw it at their feet or something, and that's what heals them. So different tools and items they can find throughout the rooms that would help them with all of it, right? And then the other thing is I need to learn how to do a copy and paste of the entire building to reset it afterwards, after like it's been played through, because I do not want to go back through and reset all those rooms individually. But that's sort of the idea. But with that being said, I'm gonna go quickly quickly do the one thing of parkour today for Island, and then we'll call it there for today. But yeah, so that's why I'm learning Axiom is for this big project that I'm working on. Could the players fight back? I'm gonna have resistance like 7 and regeneration like 7. So I basically take no damage whatsoever. So it doesn't. So they can only stall me by throwing slowness on me, by putting me in cobwebs, damaged by like 100%. Exactly. That's the whole thing. So like you can't kill the person that's hunting you. The entirety of it is just trying to evade them, outrun them, hide from them, and do all that type of stuff. Because like the other thing I want to do, right, is I want to make custom beds or in custom wardrobes that every room you can hide in. So like you could hide under the bed, you could hide in the closet, you can try to hide behind a door. And so it gives you something to try to use to where like if I'm in the room chasing you, you can hide in one of the like places to hide, and if I look wrong, you can then run out of that room real quickly because I'm not gonna be faster. I'm entirely just gonna be walking. I'm only gonna be walking the entire time. So they can outrun me. Make it an SMP out of it. They can. Yeah, I'm making it into a full horror game. And the funny thing is, I want to do this with like duos and partners because I want to do it on Valentine's Day. Or I want to release it around on Valentine's Day. Because I think that would be very funny. And they are hiding in the closet because they make sound? Possibly. But if I'm far enough away, I would not hear it. Again, I wanted to do this in October with 2 people, but I'm like, the only other time I could probably do this now, which would be very funny, is to do this in on Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day is like, oh, we're working together, and now it's like, okay, we're really gonna put our really gonna put our bond together and go through trauma. Because it's also gonna be very funny if someone leaves someone else behind to save themselves. That's what I want. I want a moment towards someone, they're both getting chased and someone closes the door on somebody else. And then I don't want to do that. They then are screaming at each other, but I can also hear them screaming because they're panicking. Because they have to be quiet, because they have to, like, whisper and talk near each other and so on and so forth. Like, this is the idea, right? This is the overall concept. It's not even couples, it can be duos. It doesn't have to be, like, people actually in a relationship. It can be people that would just are, like, known as a duo in the Minecraft community. Nope, that's the wrong way. Like that's the concept. And I think it'd be very, very funny. Because there's a lot of different, like, creators that are duos / partners in the Minecraft space. Oh, I didn't look into for but you could take, like, just different pairing of people and put them all together, and it would be very, really funny. Owen and Luann could run through it if they really wanted to. Scott and Cam is another option. Yeah, like, there are different options, right? Now, of course, they would also like, agree if they want to participate in that type of escape room. Because I know not everyone is, like, a fan of horror-based games. The thing is, like, here's the thing: you don't want to try to abandon people, is because if both of you survive, right? If both of you survive, you get a massive time reduction for your overall final time. So you want to work together. You don't want just one person to, like, die, in the sense. You want to, like, try to work together for it. So I think this will be a very fun video. On Betrayal is funny. It is funny. It is very funny. I'm not gonna stop them if they do Betrayal. My goal is to try to kill both of them, because as soon as if you die, you get a DNF. You get a do not finished. Your time stops where you died, and you get a DNF. So it actually helps you in some way. Yeah, like, if they betray each other, that's fine. It'd be hilarious. But it also ruins them. So yeah, it's hardcore without the hardcore element, because I'm not going to put it into hardcore because of the damage that you take and the health reduction and, like, food and whatnot. So it's going to be on normal difficulty. It's just as soon as someone dies, I'm going to instantly put them into game mode's spectator. And then they would spectate the rest of it. They could then also spectate and, like, be in voice chat as a ghost. So it's not just them by themselves. They could also be in the voice chat as a spectator, trying to help their partner / duo. They can talk to them via spectator. And they can try to help them beyond the grave. But they just don't get that reduced time Or not helping. Yeah, like if you get betrayal, they can argue and get haunted beyond the grave. I'll let them find out. So basically, I'm gonna tell them a rough idea, and then just so people it's like they're aware of it, and then afterwards, once whoever's actually playing is in the recording, then I would go into more detail about what is what. Able to revive? Yeah. Hope I messed that up. Can I still make this? Oh, I just fell anyways. But that's roughly the overall idea. I haven't fully finished everything or finalized everything. I'm still, again, roughly early into the building / planning process. But we will see. On Valentine's Day, what happened to being an ally? Hey, it's their choice to hide in the closet. They can hide under the bed. They can hide behind a door. They can do a bunch of hiding. That's entirely up to them. Not anymore. I'm doing this real quickly, then we're ending stream there. I pretty much for like 2 hours, I just went over Axiom stuff. So I'm doing parkour real quick and then ending stream. Yeah, the reason why I didn't change title is because we're ending stream like right after this. So we can also do Bell at the end of stream as well, because I want to be consistent on doing that at the end of every stream at the minimum. How was Axiom? Axiom was fun. Learned a good amount, realized what certain things do. Still confused on some stuff, but I think watching a bit more tutorials on how stuff works will help. It is like, don't worry if you miss stuff. Again, the VODs will always be here, as well as they'll always be on my YouTube channel. On like my YouTube VODs channel, but if you miss something, you can always just go back and watch. Why did that command not work? Oh, it's VODs. I think it's with an S at the end. There we go. Alright, cool. You can use Axiom and World Edit at the same time. You definitely can. You definitely can. Alright. Let's go do Bell, and then we'll call it there for today. And we'll be done. Alright, cool. Turn this up. How many subs do you need to monetize the VOD channel? It's 1,000. We're almost there, technically, where I can get monetized on the VOD channel. But it's 1,000 for YouTube monetization, I believe. Okay. For those who don't know, this is the Sellout Bell, aka Techno's Sellout Bell. We are continuing. We at the end of every stream. We usually do the Sellout Bell for one song, one moment. You don't have to donate or gift or sub or do anything like that. If you want to, I appreciate it. Of course I'd appreciate it. But you don't have to. The entire point of this is just to have fun, rave, type bell in chat, and just enjoy it. Right? But of course, I am going to do the whole spiel of Twitch Prime subs and so on and so forth to continue that legacy. But anyways, chat, hope you all have fun, and let's get started. Alright, chat, you know what time it is? It's time for the bell. The Sellout Bell. You know what that means? That means, if you don't know what Twitch Prime is, Twitch Prime is a free Prime sub that you have if you have Amazon Prime. And it basically means you can sub to any of your favorite creators for free. It's basically free money that you take from Twitch because you're already paying for it with Amazon Prime. So if you have one, you can give it to your favorite creator. It doesn't have to be me. It can be anybody. With that being said, chat, I want to see some bells. I want to see some one of us's in chat. And let's start spamming. Bell, 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 bell. One of us, 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 one of us. One of us. Bell, 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 bell. It's free money, chat. It is free money that you don't have to pay for. You've already paid for it. So if you have a Twitch Prime and you want to use it on anyone, make sure you use it because you're basically wasting a free sub that you can help out any Twitch streamer. Bell, 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 bell. As well, Chorus Corner, thank you for the 5 community gifted subs. I appreciate that. One of us, one of us, one of us, one of us. As well as Slime Seed 2.0, thank you for the follow. And Local Sunflower as well, thank you for the follow. One of us, one of us, one of us. Bell, 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 bell. Chat, you only got 40 more seconds. I'm not being bell, 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 bell. One of us. One of us, 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 one of us. Bell, 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 bell. As Nerdy said, that just takes 2 clicks for Prime sub chat. But you've all been amazing. You've all been wonderful. Thank you all for playing today with Bell. And that's going to do it for today. And there we have it, chat. Super, super fun. Hope you all enjoyed today's stream with Axiom. There will be more build streams in the future because I will be building not my escape room on stream, but some other stuff on stream. So, hope you had fun today. We'll definitely be more building streams in the future. Because there are some fun projects that I get to help out with. And I do get to stream them as well. With that being said, let's go raid into someone and call it there for today. Let's see. You know, we haven't read purple in a while, so let's go read purple. Purple, of course, is speedrunning. So y'all enjoy that. / raid purple. Join on the raid chat, you can leave right on after if you need to. But thank you all again. You all have been awesome, amazing, and wonderful as always. And I will see you all on Friday. We'll probably do some MCC unless something changes. But until then, chat, remember to abolish your regrets. I will see you all next time.